Hi, welcome back to my channel. We're going to talk about what does empowerment mean? And when I talk about or you hear about women's empowerment and how travel can help that, what exactly does that mean? What does it mean to me? And I will share with you some of my thoughts and let's see where it takes us. And welcome to my channel. My name is Roseanne. For those of you that are new, welcome. I'm very happy to have you. And if you like this video, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and let's talk about empowerment. So when we talk about traveling, especially when we're in our 50s or 60s or 70s and even 80s, why is traveling so important for women? It really opens up our perspective on the world. I think women really have a sense of adventure, and it's been really more coming to the surface recently. There are more women travelers than ever before right now. Statistics show that there are more women traveling than men, and men travel because their woman gets them to go most of the time. So with that said, what is it about traveling that attracts women, that makes women want to go? It's all about finding your power when you're going and traveling. When you are traveling and you're going on an adventure, it challenges you in ways that you would not ordinarily understand. Because when you're out there, you're going to have to deal with a lot of different scenarios that come your way. And when that happens, how do you manage it? How do you stay focused in the moment? How do you stay present? How do you solve the problems? And what does it look like when you're there? So the first thing we want to talk about is really embarking on the journey. Sometimes when you embrace the journey and you're going there with an open mind, you have the opportunity to really get some emotional, you feel some emotions that might show up that is kind of random. It's like, where did that come from? It could be joy, it could be sadness, it could be being in awe, but embracing all of the emotions that happen when you're traveling. I know when I first set foot in Italy, when I first got to Italy, and it was so powerful knowing that even though I might not have been in the same town or region that my family was from, but knowing that this was the country of my ancestors really was powerful. And there's so many people out there who want to travel and find their roots. I'm actually working with a couple of families that are traveling this year specifically to go to the towns and the countries where their family came from. And that's a really powerful way to experience your journey. And with all good plans, no matter how perfect you planned your vacation, no matter how wonderful your travel agent was, there's always going to be time when something might have to change, when something doesn't work, because change is inevitable. And there's Nico getting a little riled up. But change is inevitable. Something is going to happen. And so facing that change with grace, facing that change with understanding, like, okay, this is the problem that was presented to me, and how do I solve it? Because you can, and it does happen. Stepping out of your comfort zone. There's a lot of times you're going to be in different situations that might challenge your comfort, such as finding the train, where is the train station, walking or driving in places that you're not familiar with. Are you going to find your way? How do you do that? You always end up making it work. And that is stepping out of your comfort zone. When you step out of your comfort zone, you really feel so powerful because you did it. You stepped into something that wasn't comfortable. You met the challenge. And by meeting the challenge, you're able to feel really good about yourself and feel like the world is your oyster. And everybody has their skill set, right? Everyone has different strengths that are apparent in your life. And while you look at your strengths while you're traveling, while you acknowledge what you're really good at, and then you can step into something that you're not as good at and start to master that. Start to see, okay, I am not really, like for me, for example, I'll give you an example. I am not good with directions. If I'm looking somewhere, I'll think it's right and it's usually left. I'm 180 degrees off all the time. And I know that that is something that is challenging for me. So I try to work on that or find ways around that, like really figuring out how to use the map on my phone, So it's understanding what your strengths are, stepping into those, and then knowing what your weaknesses are and figuring out ways to get around those weaknesses and mitigate them and make them work for you. One way that really is a good way to feel empowered is to find the joy in the little things and being grateful for those things. Really seeing life through rose-colored glasses, should I say. See the positivity of the situation, even if it might not be that great in this moment. But if you change the situation and see the silver lining, and then find the joy in those little moments, that can be really empowering because you changed a situation where it could have gone negatively, but you can see the opportunity and you stepped into that. There are so many examples of that. An example for me was, it's a silly example. It's really small, but this is where you can find the nuggets are in those small examples. So I was in Rome. I was in a different area of Rome that I'd never been before, and I was exploring, and it was very cool. But I needed to use the restroom, so I was trying to find a coffee shop. And I wanted a cup of coffee. And for some reason, wherever I was, it wasn't working out. So I found this little store. I popped into it, and they had the most wonderful drinks. They had green juice and smoothies and all of that kind of stuff. And I was able to pivot and be flexible, and I got a great juice, and I went to the bathroom, and I left that shop going, wow, that was way more refreshing than a cup of coffee. So while that isn't a big example of something that can go wrong, or you can see the small nuggets, it ended up being a really great experience, and I felt pretty joyful after it, especially finding the restroom, right? But so those little tiny opportunities when things aren't going right, if you stay flexible and stay resilient, meaning you don't have to have things go this exact way. You can pivot and do something different and still have joy in that moment. And then that leads me to another point that is super important to remember, is that there is so much perfection in our imperfection. I know there's a lot of talk about that right now, about you're perfectly imperfect, because there's no one that's perfect. There's no trip that's going to be exactly perfect. So going with the imperfections, things that just don't go right, they don't go the way you intended, but being able to step back and saying, you know what, it's still perfect, even though it's not perfect in the way I imagined it. So it's kind of being in the moment, understanding that you can be flexible, you can adapt, you can face challenges, and to be able to still see the joy and the positivity in each situation. And being mindful of your location. One of the things that some of us tend to do when we travel is to mindlessly travel. We're going to go from here to here to here to here. We're going to see this, we're going to go here. And we really don't take the time to experience a moment of stopping, slowing down, sitting in that cafe for an hour or two and having a coffee or having some dessert or having a really long lunch. Italians, they take their time when they eat. They eat slow. I know for me, I eat and I want to leave, so it takes effort, and it takes like an actual intention for me to stop and slow down and take my time and relax and feel the culture of the area that you're going to. And that's really empowering too, is to do things differently. Be mindful of your practices every day. Are you taking the time to really experience what you're seeing and what you're feeling and giving yourself some time? And that's really empowering too. It's just taking that time and giving yourself that space to feel and see and really get a handle on the differences between what you've experienced and what you're experiencing now. Another really important part of being an empowered person is to find grace for yourself, to have compassion for yourself, to forgive yourself if something doesn't go right, and still step in to all of the wonders around you. And to be able to know that when you're in a new place, things can be challenging, things can be wonderful, things can go perfectly. And then just to be able to know that with everything that comes your way, you have the power to make that experience good, and you have the power to make it bad by going down that route of negativity. And so being an empowered person, you could take any experience and step into it fully and see the positivity in it and experience the gratitude for it, because it always ends up being perfect at the end. And so wrapping this conversation up, one of the things that's so important as you're stepping into anything in life is to set your intentions. What is your intention for this trip? What's the intention for this day? What's your intention for this meal? You can set your intentions on what you want it to be. And that's really, really helpful. Practice self-care. Make sure you walk the way that you like to do the things that you do that give you energy and make you feel good. I know when I travel, sometimes I don't do my meditations, which I should. I sometimes don't actually exercise as much because I'm thinking, oh, I'm walking everywhere, I'm good, and I'm eating everything. So there's a lot of self-care that we need to pay attention to. When we're tired, we need to rest. It doesn't have to be a marathon. Slow travel is the best way to go. Just take your time, rest when you need to rest, go when you want to go, and take care of yourself and eat the cake, because that's always fun, especially when you're in those countries that have delicious desserts, which pretty much is everywhere, I would think. I know that there is a lot of talk about empowering yourself when you are traveling. And as a woman, how do we empower each other? And that is to support each other, to be there for each other, to travel together, to experience new things together, to take on challenges in ways that we never did before, to see the positivity of a situation instead of going down the negative route, to be grateful for every moment, to be mindful of what you have and where you are and how it's different, and how that difference can expand and make your view of the world so much better, so much more open. And I find it wonderful. And I love traveling with women. I love traveling. And if you want to travel, let me know. I'm planning a Spain trip in September. It's going to be fantastic. Barcelona, Madrid, and Malaga. And it's just for 9 days, but it's going to be wonderful. And we're going to do some slow travel. We're going to see lots of things, and there'll be lots of time where you can relax and take in the beautiful areas that we're going to be. So I hope talking about empowerment has been helpful. Those are just my particular views, what I think about when I think about empowering women through travel. And what do you think? What do you think is empowerment, and how do you live it in your life? Anyway, If you like this video, please like and subscribe, send it to your friends, and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the subject. Have a really great day and see you next week. Ciao for now. Bye.